Hello, everybody. Welcome in the Fantasy Pros Football Podcast. I'm Ryan Wormeli, joined as I am every Friday morning by Pat Fitzmaurice and by Derek Brown, and we are answering or asking some key questions for Week 14. Fellas, this is it. It is the week to make the playoffs. In most leagues, we actually have a work league that the playoffs are already beginning this week. There are some leagues where that is the case. I do not like it. It is not would not have been my vote if I was commissioner. But for most leagues, this is the week to clinch up those spots, and we're here to help everybody do so. There are people who, you're already in and it's just about seeding. Maybe you've already clinched a bye. If that's you, I appreciate you still listening and just kind of previewing the weekend with us anyway. For those who are trying to lock up those playoff spots, let's do it. We'll jump right in here. There are 4 teams on bye: Panthers, Giants, Patriots, and Niners. Patriots obviously have provided some fantasy goodness for us this year, more than expected, and there's some stars on those other teams as well. So we're missing players. We'll try to fill those spots here. All of our weekly consensus rankings and tiers, by the way, can be found at fantasypros.com/rankings. Before we get into the preview, I do want to ask you guys about a very high-scoring Thursday night game, Lions 44, Cowboys 30. We can go quickly. I did not watch this game, though. I had other stuff going on last night, so it was frustrating to sit down and see Jahmyr Gibbs scored 3 touchdowns when he is one of the reasons I got eliminated from my guillotine league a week ago because he didn't have the greatest game. It would have been nice if these 3 touchdowns came this week. But obviously, a very good game for the Lions offense and a good game for the Cowboys offense, it appears here. Debro, what was your takeaway here? And how would you describe the game to somebody who didn't watch?
So this game started off slow at the gate. I thought this was going to hit the under and be more of a defensive game. If you just watched the first quarter, maybe 2 quarters and turned it off, you were like, oh, this is hitting the under. And then the second half was just fireworks, man. Both offenses came alive. Detroit just kept piling it on. There were some interesting calls. The refs kind of fumbled the bag in multiple different spots yet again, which was... It's always a fun time, especially on island games. But overall, man, it's just the Lions look like, again, one of the best offenses in the NFL. And Amon-Ra St. Brown, I mean, dude, we talked about it in Slack, Fitzy, before the game kicked off. And I'm like, okay, he's playing. I'm trying to figure out where the heck to rank him and Jameson Williams. And both of them had solid games, but not amazing games.
Fitz?
Yeah, we talked about Amon-Ra on the waiver show, and someone might have suggested that guys usually play off low ankle sprains, never on high the next week, but often on low, and that was the case with Amon-Ra. So I wasn't totally stunned. We did see him. Pretty good game. He didn't look like he was compromised in any way. It was, we got the track mates that the Vegas total of 54.5 suggested. I was very tempted to bet it under, just because there are so many ways that a total that high can be short-circuited. And we kind of got those early on with a couple of drives ending in field goals. Anyway, it was a fun game, but and pretty consequential game, considering that I think whoever lost that game is going to have a real uphill struggle to try to make the playoffs, and now Dallas has probably got to win out to get in.
Also, I do want to bring up, man, the concussion to CeeDee Lamb. If you've not seen the video, don't watch it. It was horrible to see. And I again, we're talking about the first week of the fantasy playoffs. I don't know if he's going to be available. It was that bad.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know he got concussed. I was totally just not watching it all last night, so I didn't see.
It was not pretty, man.
He has the extra 3 days because of the Thursday night game, so you hope maybe that can help him clear a concussion protocol. But if you are a CeeDee Lamb investor, you probably should make alternative plans.
That's tough. By the way, I'm looking here in the box score. Brandon Aubrey had field goals from 57, 55, 63, also 42 and 29. Just a huge day for him, it appears.
Yeah, made them all look easy.
Yeah, get the guy inside, and he's just a machine.
Three from 55 pluses.
The 57-yarder looked like he barely even tried. He just kicked in and he just goes, I was like,
I watched a lot of good kicking during Justin Tucker's tenure, and I feel like Aubrey is just that next evolution of that, where it's just he makes it look easy from very, very far away. So impressive by him. Guys, let's get into the early slate here. Like I said, we have 4 teams on bye, so a couple fewer games than usual. First game on the slate, Seahawks at Falcons. I'm going to bring back, you might remember last time we talked, I gave you kind of a fake $1 million offer. If I offered you $1 million, you had to get it right. Troy Franklin or Cortland Sutton. I don't actually think you guys did get it right, although I don't remember for sure. But we're bringing it back.
Fitzy did. Fitzy would have won the milli.
Okay,
I would have been poor.
You guys split.
It's okay.
If I told you would win $1 million if you correctly pick who scores more fantasy points this week between Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet, who would you pick, Debro? I think we all agree Kenneth Walker is the better player. Charbonnet continues to often get the goal line opportunities going up against a bad Falcons team. So if I gave you $1 million, who would you pick, Walker or Charbonnet?
I think at this point, considering these questions, I'm just not meant to have generational wealth. So I'm just going to lean into that further, and I'm just going to keep picking Kenneth Walker, man. Like, the backfield's moved in his directions, but good Lord, the guy can't buy a freaking touchdown. It doesn't matter. Like, snap count goes up. He gets more snaps in the red zone. He out-carries Charbonnet. Charbonnet still gets the touchdowns. I'll pick Kenneth Walker. I know I'm probably going down with the Titanic with that, but I'll just lean on that he's getting more of the backfield.
Fitz, how do you see it?
My bank account.
Yeah, I went and looked back at how these guys have done against each other, who scored more over the game. So there was one game Charbonnet missed early in the season. In the other 11 games, using half-point PPR scoring, Charbonnet outscored Walker 5 times. Walker outscored Charbonnet 5 times. They tied once. So handicapping this one is pretty tough.
Man.
Like Debro, I'm going to go with Walker because he gets more opportunities. Since the start of November, which is the last 5 games for the Seahawks, Walker's played more than half the offensive snaps in all but one of those games. Charbonnet's played just under 40% of the offensive snaps in all but one of those games. Walker's averaged 15.4 touches a game over that span. Charbonnet 10.8 with only 3 catches. But obviously, it's the touchdowns that make this a tough call. Walker has 4 on the season, just 1 over his last 5 games. Charbonnet has 8 on the season, 3 over his last 5 games. So I'd rather bet on more predictable things. Snaps, carries, catches, touchdowns are unpredictable. I'm convinced that's why people like PPR scoring, not because they feel the need to balance out running backs and receivers. I'm not sure PPR really accomplishes that anyway. PPR scoring is just a way to dilute the variance of touchdowns and touchdown scoring. Like, adding a point per reception means points from touchdowns account for a smaller percentage of total fantasy points than we get in standard scoring leagues. And I think that appeals to a lot of people. I think a lot of people prefer a game where the vagaries of touchdown scoring means a little bit less.
That's interesting. I've been totally converted, by the way, to half PPR, half point for first downs. That's kind of like my favorite version of that to play in as a scoring format. It's interesting, like you just talked about how this has basically been split down the middle, Fitz, between these two. And yet in the consensus rankings, Kenneth Walker is RB17, Charbonnet is RB31. So they're not being ranked as if this is a toss-up.
Yeah, I'm closer.
Because the touchdowns.
Right. But I'm closer between those two. I think I'm above on Charbonnet and below on Walker.
Yeah.
Where are they at again, Worm?
17 and 31.
I've got Walker at 18, and I've got Charbonnet. I've got him at 31, but I think the conversation for him starts somewhere around like 25.
And by the way, those numbers are with like Gibbs, Montgomery, Javonte. Like with those guys removed, you can bump them up a few spots. But yeah, I mean, I find I roster both of these guys in a league together, and I find myself just like constantly frustrated at which one I started. All right, we can go to Steelers at Ravens here. Will Lamar Jackson and the offense finally get going this week against a bad Pittsburgh defense, or will his past Steelers troubles rear their ugly head again and continue his recent slump? Fitz, I'll start with you.
Yeah, the easy answer is I don't know, but I'm not benching Lamar. And I've got him at QB 8, and maybe that's even below consensus. But
quickly, it is aligned with consensus. He's exactly QB 8.
Yeah, and I get it. So he's been dealing with this ankle injury and just hasn't been himself. He's gone 3 straight games without a touchdown pass. Hasn't run for a touchdown since week 1, which is kind of crazy, and is QB 31 in fantasy points per game over the last 4 weeks. Not very Lamar Jackson-like. And you said it, Worm, the Steelers have historically given him trouble in 8 career starts against Pittsburgh. Jackson has averaged 160.5 passing yards a game, 8 TD passes, 9 interceptions. and he has never had a rushing touchdown against the Steelers, which is kind of crazy. So things are kind of stacked against him a little bit here, but on the other hand, would it shock you if Lamar had a 25 or 30 point game? It would never shock me for Lamar to go off.
It wouldn't shock me. It would surprise me. My view on this game before I toss to Debro is I think it's more likely that this is the game where the Ravens' rushing attack gets going than it is the game where Lamar gets going. Those do go somewhat hand in hand a lot of the time. But Tomlin does, historically, he does a really good job against rushing quarterbacks and limiting their rushing. So, I don't expect, a rushing touchdown from Lamar or anything like that. That's not really how they use him anyway. The thing that has been so limiting for him, in my opinion, is less his ability to run and more his ability to evade pass rushers in the pocket. And it's such a bad offensive line right now that he's not able to kind of hide those warts the way he usually does, which has led to, obviously, this is an extended version of the slump. You would expect even a slumping Lamar to be better than he has been. Debra, how do you see this playing out? Do you think this is a game where Lamar and the offense as a whole, Derrick Henry, whoever it might be, can kind of finally bounce back? It didn't happen against the bad Bengals defense. Can it happen against the bad Pittsburgh defense?
I'll say this. I won't be shocked if it happens, but I'm not projecting it that way. And to further add to Fitzy's points, Lamar has not cleared 40 rushing yards in a game since week 4 against the freaking Chiefs. And he's only done that twice this entire season. Since throwing for 4 passing touchdowns against the Dolphins in week 9, he has 1 passing touchdown. And yes, we could talk about all the touchdowns that would be, could be, and should be, about fumbles and all things in between. It doesn't matter because they didn't happen. You look at the last 4 games, QB 15, QB 29, QB 25, QB 27 in weekly scoring. Even if we want to parse this out and say, okay, well, he's not going to run. All right, fine. He's not going to run because he hasn't been running all freaking year. What has he been doing as a passer? Since week 10, amongst 35 qualifying passers, Lamar Jackson, 35th, so dead last in highly accurate throw rate and 29th in catchable target rate. So he hasn't been running. He doesn't get rushing production versus the Steelers. And when he's throwing the ball, he hasn't been good. No, I don't think this is going to be the bounce back. And the other thing about this is the Steelers are playing better defense, man. Since week 9, this pass defense has come alive. They've allowed the 7th fewest yards per attempt and the 8th lowest success rate per dropback. And so
the run defense, coming off that Bills game.
Oh, yeah, but the Bills have been doing that to, everybody. The Bills have just been rushing it down everybody's throat. So that's not incredibly surprising. And I don't know if the Ravens, to your point, Worm, do they have the offensive line right now to impose their will on the ground if they want to?
Well, I was going to say that the best 2 games Lamar has played against the Steelers in his career are the 2 most recent. It was the second game last regular season and the playoff game last year. But those were also largely driven by Derrick Henry. Lamar was he had those usual really efficient games where he was really good, but he didn't do much. It was a lot of the running game kind of opening things up. I will say too, before we move off this, that it's not, Debro, I'll correct you. It's not that Lamar's not running. It's that he's not running well. His last 5 games, he's run 5, 9, 4, 7, and 6 rush attempts. If you look at the first month of the season,
5, 7, 6. That's not a normal Lamar game.
Well, it has been this season. I'm saying when he was running better in the first month of the season, he was running 6 times, 7 times, 6 times. He was just way more efficient at it. So you're right. Compared to his career, it's less, but compared to earlier this season before the injury, it's about the same. It's just not getting anywhere. He doesn't have the ability to accelerate and get or evade guys, really, I think is the big thing. So I'm kind of with you. I lean towards this not being the bounce back for Lamar. Fitz said he's ranked QB 8. Where is he ranked for you, Debra? Are you considering not starting him if you have him?
Yeah, I'm considering it. Do I do it in most aspects? Am I setting Lamar Jackson? No, but it depends on your freaking options, man. Right now I've got him at QB 9. So there's some teams out there, and this is a real conundrum. There's some teams out there that could possibly have Lamar Jackson and picked up Joe Burrow off the waiver wire, and it's who are you starting this week?
That is me in the league. Yes.
And I think it should be Joe Burrow. The matchup is tougher and stuff like that. Maybe you want to balance it out. Okay, does T. Higgins play or not? But I just don't know in this iteration of Lamar Jackson, and watch he goes out and scores 4 touchdowns and makes me eat all of this. But that doesn't mean that the process is wrong, that he has been playing terribly.
Guys, let's get Titans at Browns out of the way. Both these teams stink. I don't want to talk about this game. If I forced you to watch every second of this game, what players or matchups would you most want to be paying attention to? What intrigues you the most about this matchup? If I made you pick something, Fitz, you'll go first here.
Oh, the quarterbacks. In the pre-draft season, the run-up to the draft, Debro and I actually preferred Shedeur to Cam Ward. I think we both liked his accuracy, his field reading, the way he threw with anticipation, throwing to a spot instead of needing to wait for a receiver to break open. He had some of those traits that successful NFL quarterbacks tend to have. And I don't know if I'd make the same choice now, but we are still trying to figure out what Shedeur can be. And, his first two starts haven't been terrible after that disastrous relief appearance he made after Dylan Gabriel was concussed against the Ravens a few weeks ago. We're still just trying to figure out, does Shedeur have a future as a starter, or is he going to be a backup? And I think we're still trying to figure out how good Cam Ward can be. Like, the fantasy results have been bad. He's been pretty much unusable, but the kid was dealt a really bad hand. Like, not a good group of pass catchers in Tennessee, not a very good offensive line, not a great system. We've seen flashes, though. We've seen the arm talent. We've seen the mobility and the ability to kind of manufacture plays a la Caleb Williams off script. But, as ugly as this game is going to be, it'll be sort of fun to see Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders go head-to-head and see who can make more plays.
Debra?
Yeah, I'm with Fitzy on this one. The offseason videos of both of them training together and everybody's takes were honestly hilarious, both now and in the future. But I think for me, it's watching Shedeur Sanders and seeing what he does versus his defense. And I'll even throw in, because I think he's an interesting flex play this week. I know that a lot of people are not going to have the light on. I get it. It's scary. But I'm very interested in Jerry Jeudy in this game. And part of this does go back to Shedeur Sanders because his hyper aggressiveness, like, he's 8th in deep ball throw rate over the last 2 weeks. So he's trying to push the ball down the field. And if he connects on any of those throws versus this freaking terrible Tennessee secondary, Jerry Jeudy could have a big game, man. Like, last 2 weeks, yeah, like, he's only got like a 15% target share, but he does lead the team in 3 deep targets. So if Shedeur can light up the secondary, can show promise, can play good, and I know that's a lot of ifs, ands, and buts with that. If he can do those things, Jerry Jeudy probably has a good day here.
Where are you ranking Jeudy?
Oh, I've got Jeudy. Where's he at in ECR, Worm? Because I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure I'm ahead of that. I've got Jeudy right now I've got him at wide receiver 40. I've kind of got him in that like John Mechie, Darnell Mooney kind of tier.
Okay. Today's show is brought to you by our new presenting sponsor, Hard Rock Bet. Big news, Hard Rock Bet is now live in Michigan. Sign up today and place your first $5 sports bet. If it wins, you get $150 in bonus bets on top of your winnings. And if you're more into casino games, new customers can get up to $1,000 back in casino bonus. If you're not up money after your first 24 hours playing slots, win money or get a casino bonus back. Plus, you also get 200 bonus spins, winnings paid in cash. Not sure what to place your first bet on? Head over to the Hard Rock Bet Stats Hub and it'll help you out. It's loaded with trends, streaks, and stats to help guide your picks. Numbers don't lie, and neither does the data in there. Hard Rock Bet offers new promos daily, plus big legendary reward drops every Thursday, like gifts under the tree. So whenever you're listening, just open the app and check out what we've got waiting for you. Download the Hard Rock Bet app and make your first deposit. Next game here, guys. Colts at Jaguars. Big game in the AFC South. Colts have scored 20 or fewer points in 3 of their past 4 games. It's kind of been highlighted by Jonathan Taylor only finishing higher than RB19 once in that span. Not that our RB19 is terrible, but obviously it's not on the level you expect from the season Jonathan Taylor's having. So has the clock struck midnight on this surprising offense, or, D-Row, do you expect a strong performance in Jacksonville?
It depends on how we're going to contextualize strong. I think that they can have a good game here, specifically highlighting. I don't think JT has like a monster game. The Jacksonville, like the strength of that defense has been the run defense. Where you can get at this defense is through the air. Now, the problem with Daniel Jones is he's playing on 1.5 legs, and his mobility is nothing. So if they can heat him up, if they can blitz him and stuff like that, he can crumble. And dear Lord, heaven help if we see Riley Leonard at any point in that game, because then it just all falls apart. But if Daniel Jones can get the ball out, I think that Michael Pittman Jr. can have a bounce back game. I know a lot of people like we're all in the Alec Pierce train and stuff, but a lot of that has been very, very coverage sensitive. I think a lot of that way the Colts have designed this passing attack is giving Daniel Jones really clear answers to the test on a snap-to-snap basis, and part of that is reading the coverages. And if against too high, like Pittman has been the guy. He has had a 22.5% target share, 28% first read share against too high. So I think this is a big game for Michael Pittman Jr., at least an opportunity for a big one, and another opportunity for a big game from Tyler Warren, like because Jacksonville has been horrible versus tight ends. So if both of those guys with short throws and making stuff happen and getting the ball out of Daniel Jones's hands quickly, if that can happen, yeah, the passing offense can look a lot better, but I'm not saying like a big day on the ground from JT.
Fitz, we talked a little bit on the Thursday show with Jake about how the NFL has done this with a lot of teams this year where two divisional opponents, you get to week 14, it's December, they still haven't played. Ravens Steelers, this is the first time they're playing. Bears Packers, it's the first time they're playing. This is another one. The Colts and Jags have not played yet this year. So what do you expect from the first matchup from these two?
I do think Daniel Jones' fibular fracture is kind of a problem for the Colts offense. Maybe it's less of a problem than I think, and I shouldn't be fading Jones and the Indy pass catchers to the extent that I am, but I'm below ECR on pretty much all of them except for Tyler Warren, because as Debro said, the Jaguars are not especially good against tight ends. But Jones isn't really running anymore. He's not throwing as much. I think they're maybe trying to protect him a little bit by tamping down the passing volume a little bit. His passing yardage is down over the last 2 weeks. I think the Colts might have to lean more heavily on Jonathan Taylor, but we'll see how that goes because we like heavy volume for Taylor, but after averaging 6 yards a carry over his first 10 games, he's averaged 3.9 yards per carry over his last two. Now, granted, those were tough matchups against the Chiefs and Texans, but the Jaguars are a pretty tough matchup for running backs, too. Their defense is better against the run than it is against the pass. The Jags have allowed a league-low 764 rushing yards to running backs and only 4 touchdown runs to running backs this season.
Just quickly before we move off this game, Brian Thomas Jr., he's wide receiver 30. Where is he ranked for you guys? Because, I mean, obviously he's been such a disappointment this year, but with 4 teams on bye, see somebody that you're willing to, in a pinch, start him, like if you're trying to clinch up a playoff spot here, or is it just too risky, like you're getting away? As wide receiver 30, he's ranked in an area where he could be a flex for you. Fitz, where is he ranked for you?
I'm right on line. Wide receiver 30 in ECR.
Debra?
I got him at wide receiver 36. Like, I don't want to start him unless I absolutely have to. I'll Fitzy on the spot. Brian Thomas Jr. or AD Mitchell this week. I'm team AD. Where are you at?
Yeah.
I think it's close. I think a lot of people are going to have this decision.
I need to change this. Right now I have BTJ ranked higher, but like if I was faced with that decision, I think I'd probably, if I'm being honest with myself, I would start AD Mitchell. So I need to reflect that with my rankings.
Mitchell is one spot ahead in consensus. One spot behind Thomas in consensus is Rome Odunze. Who would you start between those two?
I'd start Rome.
I'd start Rome and just hope and pray Caleb can look like a semi-competent passer. I've got Rome ranked wide receiver 31, so it's not pretty.
All right, let's go to Commanders at Vikings. This one's simple. I want you to rank the running backs you'd be willing to start in this game. Fitz, we talked a little bit about Chris Rodriguez yesterday. Obviously, the Vikings backfield here. So who are the guys you're willing to start, and where are they ranked for you in this game?
Aaron Jones, running back 27. Chris Rodriguez, running back 28. Jordan Mason, running back 33. And, McNichols and Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt are like outside running back 4 range, so like not considerations. The Commanders haven't been that tough a matchup for running backs, but Aaron Jones, I mean, does he make it through the game with the shoulder injury that he's been dealing with, which is why the gap between Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason isn't all that great. And Chris Rodriguez, we've talked about this, he's only had 1 game with more than 12 carries, and he's caught 1 pass all year. So if he does not fall into the end zone, you're probably getting a dud game from him. And I am not playing Chris Rodriguez I don't even want to roster him in PPR. I just think he's unplayable in PPR because of his complete lack of pass catching.
He is ranked highest of the three in ECR at RB27. Mason is actually second. Fitz at RB28, right behind him. Jones is down at RB33 in ECR.
I think some people...
Some injury question mark, yeah.
I think people think that he's not going to play. That's why.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, just throwing that out there. D-Bro, what is your ranking? We can just focus on those three guys. We don't need to discuss anybody else.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's whoever is going to be the Vikings starter. If Aaron Jones plays, I'm playing Aaron Jones. If Aaron Jones is out, I'm playing Jordan Mason. If Aaron Jones is in, I don't want anything to do with Jordan Mason. So right now I've got Aaron Jones at RB25, but there's so much that we still need news on like Amarian Hampton and Alvin Kamara and all those other guys. So like I think anywhere from like low end RB2 to high end RB3 is appropriate. And we still need news on Aaron Jones. Chris Rodriguez, I've got at RB30, and Fitzy framed it perfectly. Like he's been in that Bam Knight kind of area code for me where he's going to get 12 to 15 opportunities. If he doesn't freaking score a touchdown, you're going to hate life and wish you started him. If he scores a touchdown, then cool. He's an RB3 or maybe a low-end RB2, depending on how the week shifts out.
I think I like Chris. Well, I know I don't like Chris Rodriguez better than you guys, but I feel I wonder if there's a chance that he does. Like I do think he will score a touchdown, I guess is the way I'd put it. So I'm kind of more willing to start him in this one.
Then he's going to get you probably like anywhere between 10 to 12 points.
Yeah, it's not as like a ceiling play, but as a, I mean, again, there are 4 teams on bye this week. So
yeah, if he can get you the 12 points, you're happy as hell with that and you just move on. But if he doesn't, he's getting you 5 or 6 points and you're wishing you didn't play him.
Yeah. We just talked about AD Mitchell, so let's go to Dolphins at Jets. Is Adonai Mitchell a thing coming off of a game with 8 catches, 102 yards, and a touchdown on 12 targets? Or will we look back on Week 13 as kind of a flash in the pan for him? Is his consensus ranking, and by the way, when I made the sheet, it was wide receiver 32. It's jumped up to wide receiver 29, as I mentioned, so that's gone up. So is his consensus ranking of wide receiver 29 too high, too low, or just right, Fitz?
I guess it's just right. Since I, a second ago, bumped him ahead of BTJ, I've now got him at wide receiver 30. But who knows, man? Like, it could be way too high or way too low or just right. But I do know that since joining the Jets, AD Mitchell is getting something like a 30% target share and a 60% air yard share. And he's 6'2" and 205 pounds with 4.35 speed. So it would be pretty foolish not to be intrigued by this guy. Like the usage and athletic profile are just so attractive. But, you know, the Colts had him for a year and a half and had no problem throwing him into the Sauce Gardner trade. And before the big game last week, Mitchell had caught 3 of 13 targets in his first 2 games with the Jets. So it's really hard to tell where this ride is going, but I can't wait to find out.
Deaver, I can't really remember. I seem to recall liking Mitchell better than you, like coming into the NFL as a prospect. You were lower on him, right?
Yeah, I was lower on him. I think he needed a lot that he needed to clean up with his route running and separation, and there was a lot of things. Like I felt like when we get to this time, or at least prospect time of the year, a lot of the big and fast kind of covers up some warts for players and stuff. So I was lower on him than consensus. But dude, I mean, I think the ranking for him this week, I've got him at wide receiver 28, I think is appropriate. And I think the problem with him is it's volatile. I think honestly, the more I think about AD Mitchell this week, it's like I feel like in rankings, I need to make a stand. I either need to fade him or go all in, because either embrace the volatility and the volume that he's going to get, because the reality is he's probably going to end up as like a top 15 wide receiver or outside the top 40. One of those things is probably going to happen with his volatility. He's getting so much freaking volume. Like to Fitz's point, since week 11, 28.4% target share, 61.4% air yard share, a 41% first read share. He is their passing offense, basically. So in a good matchup, I mean, because the Dolphins since week 9, 9th most PPR points per target to perimeter wide receivers. I'm just going to stand on process and say he hits. So I'm probably going to move him up even further in the rankings. Like once we get other news about like, is Justin Herbert playing? Is he not playing? Other guys that are on the fence, like what happens with Marvin Harrison Jr. and other guys. Like I'm probably going to bump AD up a little bit more and take a more positive stand with him in rankings, because again, the volatility is there. But dude, it's like, I kind of feel like it's a binary decision. Either we're in on him or you're not in on him. And if he booms, he's probably a top 20 wide receiver for the week.
Yeah, Worm, you and I do the Dynasty show with Scott Bogman, who's a big University of Texas fan. And didn't you get the feeling that Bogman didn't know what to make of A.D. Mitchell coming out of college? Like, I think he wanted to like him, but was also sort of perplexed by what he saw from him in college. Like, he is kind of a boom bust weekly guy. I think he might always be that, but the upside is just so intriguing. Like, if this guy can ever put it together and the light totally comes on, look out. Like, there is a ton of upside.
It is worth noting he has never played with an accurate quarterback. And I don't think we can put all the blame for his, lack of production on the offenses he's in. Like, obviously he, like, to Debro's point about like needing to improve as a route runner, like there was stuff he needed to work on too. But like, it is worth noting that he has not played with a good quarterback.
Quinn Ewers, you're not calling Quinn
Ewers.
Ewers
Ewers in college.
Don't speak bad about Quinn Ewers. Bogman's probably hearing that somewhere out in the ether.
I hope
something's
Bogman is
tingling.
It's Ravens Steelers week, so I hope Bogman is hearing me talk trash about his team. But yeah, Quinn Ewers, Anthony Richardson, I know Daniel Jones had a good start to the year, but obviously there's a lot of mouths to feed in Indianapolis. And then, Justin Fields, like he hasn't had a great quarterback to be paired with. So worth noting.
One last point on A.D. Mitchell. I think when the Colts drafted him, they weren't expecting Alec Pierce to take the next step and be the guy that he's become over the last 2 seasons. Like, you don't make that draft pick because you have faith in Alec Pierce, and Alec Pierce balling out over the last 2 years. And again, another guy that came into the NFL with crazy physical tools, but needing to round a lot of other parts of his game. And since he's done that, that's what's kept A.D. Mitchell off the field. And maybe it's a combination of other things AD had to improve too, but also this is also an Alec Pierce conversation.
Yeah, it's a good point. You can let Autopilot manage your fantasy football lineup automatically so you never have to worry about last-minute changes. Auto-swap inactive players and ensure your lineup is always optimized, even when you can't be online. Take control with the flexibility to approve lineup changes via email or let Autopilot handle everything. Stay ahead with My Playbook Autopilot, available now for Fantasy Pros premium subscribers at fantasypros.com/myplaybook or on the Fantasy Pros app. Next game on the early slate here, guys. Saints at Buccaneers. Emeka Egbuka has finished outside the top 40 wide receivers in 3 straight weeks. And if you take out his big game against the Patriots, his average finish in the last 6 games is wide receiver 49. Yet he is still being ranked inside the consensus top 15 wide receivers for the week. Debra, I want to start with you. Fitz and I talked a bit about this yesterday with Jake, so I want to get your opinion here first, and then we'll go back to Fitz on this. Where are you ranking Emeka Egbuka? What do you think about his ranking inside the top 15?
I think it's too high. I mean, I've got him at wide receiver 20, and I'm going to drop him further. Like, basically, I left all that. I'm going to revisit all that today and on Saturday for the primer, because we need Mike Evans news. That's what I think about this. We need Mike Evans news. And I want to be very clear about how I'm contextualizing this. Mike Evans did not go out with a hamstring injury. Mike Evans did not go out with a knee or any other joint or soft tissue and stuff like that. If Mike Evans is medically cleared, and he has been, this comes down to a conditioning standpoint type of thing, where if Mike Evans is active this week, I think he's going to play close to his normal role. Now, I'm not saying 80 to 90% of snaps, but can he play 65 to 70% and have like a 75% route share? Definitively possible. So from a conditioning standpoint, if Mike Evans plays, I think it means bad things for Emeka Egbuka, and I'm going to drop him further in the rankings, because when Evans is on the field, he's the wide receiver 1. So my Emeka Egbuka thoughts and feelings are really tied to Mike Evans. So we need that news, but I'm not going to move him up the ranks.
Before I toss it Fitz, I want to get your opinion on this. We did a head-to-head Egbuka versus Justin Jefferson, Debro, yesterday with Jake. Who would you take between those two?
I'm taking Jefferson.
Okay. They're back-to-back in ECR. Fitz, you've had a day to think about it further from when we talked about it with Jake. How are you feeling about Egbuka today?
Yeah, still good. And I've got him at wide receiver 14. And yeah, I know some of the recent results have been bad, although I disagree with any framing where you're like, well, if you take out the huge game against the Patriots,
the point is that it's only been one good game in the last, 7. So if you take that out, it's like 6 of the last 7 have been like really, really
That's
bad.
also a Baker conversation.
I know
Baker's
that
not playing
game still counts,
either.
of course.
It's very much a Baker conversation. I mean, he has not averaged 7 yards per pass attempt in any game since week 6. That's kind of crazy.
That's also Baker doesn't have weapons conversation too. Like this offense has been bad because everybody's been freaking hurt too.
Yeah, I mean, Ibuka's been the one, although he kind of played through a hamstring injury for a while. So I totally get the hesitation on Ibuka, but for me, it's largely about the target volume. He's averaging 8.4 targets a game this season, 9.8 targets a game over his last 6 games. So I know it's not just about the target counts. And again, I mean, I think Ibuka's recent slump is probably more about Baker Mayfield than it is about Ibuka himself. But even with this recent slump, Ibuka is still on pace for 1,121 yards and averaging 15.2 yards per catch. So I still think he's really, really good, and I want to keep playing him.
So,
Fitzy, what do you think about the Evans conversation? Like, do you think he plays, and is he going to play close to a similar role? If he does, does that move you on Ibuka at all?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm doing this tentatively. I do not have Mike Evans ranked as of now, and we'll see if he plays this week or if they give him like one ramp-up week, because they opened his window this week, right?
Yeah.
Guys typically don't come back the first week that their window is open. Like, I think that happens well under 50% of the time. So I'm kind of thinking Evans doesn't play. Wouldn't shock me if he did. And then obviously I'll have to move Ibuka down, and I'll probably not have him inside the top 20.
Yeah, I'll probably have both of the guys as like wide receiver 2s once we get the Evans news. So I'm kind of like shading Ibuka down with the idea, but like say Evans is held out, then Igbuka's probably going to bump up a little bit for me, like probably like wide receiver 16-ish.
Yeah, and the other thing, Debro, you know the Saints, who the Buccaneers are going against. They kind of get bashed in the slot, right? Or no, they're good. Or are they good against slot?
Yeah, they're better.
They're better against the slot, so they kind of get bashed by outside receivers.
Yeah,
and like there are no cornerback matchups to fear here. Kool-Aid McKinstry is fine, but like he's not.
They're not playing good.
Yeah, so I don't dislike anything about the matchup. I think it's more of a plus than a minus. So even if Evans does come back, I think in most 12-team leagues, at least the ones where you start 3 receivers, I think Ibuka is still in the starter realm.
Yep. Fitz, if Evans is back, would you rather start Ibuka or Zay Flowers?
Oh man, that's tough. Probably still Ibuka.
I'm playing Ibuka. I have him ranked one spot above Zay, and this is just more, again, going back to that. To me, that's more of a Lamar Jackson take for me. I don't. And again, I feel like I'm having the same conversation, guys. Like we can rewind to a few weeks ago when I was like, man, you know what? Josh Allen's really been struggling as a passer, and then he goes out and makes me freaking eat it the next week. And I feel like we're having the same kind of conversation with Lamar Jackson, but I have even less faith in Lamar because all the peripheral numbers have been god awful.
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna reverse course on that. I would start Zay.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, Zay did almost have a big touchdown on third. Like if it went on for a bad OPI call, it would have looked better. And I mean, not that we need to go back to the Ravens, but like to your point, Debro, like I know you said it didn't count at the end of the day. He was really close to a 300-yard game with multiple passing touchdowns if Isaiah Likely doesn't fumble and Zay doesn't get called for the OPI. So
no, that's fine. My bigger takeaway with Lamar is that even with those plays and stuff like that, his still deeper metrics about his accuracy as a passer are still bad.
He's missing throws he should not miss. 100%.
Yes, like he has looked objectively bad as a passer.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Sorry to drag us back to the Ravens again.
I mean, it's a given. It's a given. We assume it.
I thought Zay Flowers was a good comp, which clearly it was because Fitz couldn't make up his mind. Bengals at Bills. Very fun game here in the early slate. It's pretty rare you get these two quarterbacks going head-to-head, and it's not in some kind of prime time. Obviously, it wasn't clear that Burrow was going to be back here just still recently, so that's kind of why it's still settled into that early slate. But we get a fun one here. Are we getting the big fireworks in this game people are hoping for? And I want you guys to pick a player you are actually fading in this matchup, since obviously everybody is very excited here. Fitz, I'll start with you.
I do think we get fireworks, even if it's cold. I kind of look back at Buffalo home games in December this week to see if that holds down scoring at all. It does not. There have been a lot of shootout games in Buffalo in December, so barring any blizzard, and we're not getting that this weekend, like I think you can just start guys with confidence and not worry too much about the cold. Looking at my rankings, I'm not really fading anyone from this game except for maybe Khalil Shakir. And I like him. He's clearly the Bills' number one receiver, but he's not really a big play guy. Shakir is averaging 10.3 yards per catch. He's not a consistent touchdown scorer. He has 3 touchdowns this season, none in his last 5 games, 1 in his last 8 games. And even the catch volume hasn't been totally consistent. Here are his catch totals over his last 5 games. 7, 7, 1, 8, 1. So I think people are a little higher on Khalil Shakir than they could be, at least in ECR.
Yeah, 2 of the last 3 games having been wide receiver 98 and wide receiver 104 in scoring for the week is not a great look. But, you know, he does get the Bengals defense here. Debra, what do you think? Do you expect fireworks, and who's somebody you would fade in this matchup?
I'm not expecting, like, what's the total at on this game? Like, I know it's in the 50s, right? Like,
let me pull it up. I don't have it up in front of me.
I know it was like in the 50s, like 50.
It was in the low 50s when I looked early in the week.
52 or 51 and a half.
It was one of those 2 early in the week, yeah.
Like, I mean, call me crazy, guys. Like, I'm more on the under on this game. Like, it's not that I'm not expecting scoring, but I'm not expecting that much scoring. And I guess, like, out of anybody, like, I'm still starting him. But, like, fading him, like, I agree with Fitzy about Khalil Shakir. When I first opened ECR this week, I was like, really? Okay, we got Khalil Shakir as a top 24 wide receiver. That feels ballsy, but whatever. So, yes, I have Khalil Shakir as a wide receiver 3. But I guess the guy that I'm a little bit lower than consensus, like I've got him like 1 or 2 spots. So like I'm not fading him. He's a QB1. But like with Joe Burrow, like second game back, like the Bills, they're not rushing the passer good. So like you could make a conversation, okay, he's going to get clean pockets. But their pass defense has been really good. Like over since week 9, 8th fewest yards per attempt, 2nd lowest passer rating, the 10th fewest passing touchdowns allowed. I mean, all those things are conducive to scoring fantasy points. So going against this pass defense, and we still don't have word about T. Higgins. Is he going to play? Is he not going to play? I kind of lean that like maybe he's out again. He's been limited. Like, well, I mean, Fitzy, what are your thoughts?
No, he was full on Thursday.
Oh, is he full yesterday?
Well,
okay, I missed that.
Full, but he has not officially come out of concussion protocol yet. So I think the progress points to him playing.
Okay,
and I think we know. We also, I think those Bills pass stats are partly because they're a run funnel, because it's so easy to run on them. And Debro, I cannot take the under. I've seen the Bengals try to tackle people. I can't take
that's fair.
I can't take the under.
I was
going to
say, like,
game.
It's not even about the offenses. The defenses on both sides. Bills are so banged up that Bengals are just straight up bad. Like, I think this game gets played in the 60s, if not maybe even the 70s. Like, the total is 53.5. That has gone up from where it was early in the week. And I frankly don't care. Maybe that's a sucker's bet, but I'm just like, Again, it's not even about the offenses. I don't see how these defenses are capable of stopping a good offense. And if these quarterbacks show up and play anywhere close to their A game, like I think this could be the highest scoring game of the season. Like that's the state of these defenses. So
okay,
I'm in on a big scoring game here.
I mean, I will say to our points earlier, kind of did project a bounce back game for the Ravens last week, and they kind of suck versus that defense. So we'll see.
But they sucked because of turnovers, which are fluky. Yeah. It wasn't. I mean, they also just have their own problems right now. Like I think the Bills' offense is going to be capable of taking advantage of a bad defense more than the Ravens' offense.
I mean, we'll see. The other point is the Bills have. I mean, they've shown their warts over the last few weeks too. So I mean, we do have to mention that it's not like the Bills have been just like crushing teams. I mean, outside of like James Cook just running it down people's throats. Like what has been working in the Bills' offense? Josh Allen playing Superman.
I think James Cook can run all over the Bengals though. Like,
bet the overs on James Cook, but what else outside of that has been working in the Bills' offense. Like, not much of anything. And do we get Dalton Kincaid back? Joshua Palmer's banged up. We just talked about our worries about Khalil Shakir. I mean, these are all valid points.
Kincaid will absolutely work against the Bengals if he comes back. I mean, if you have Dalton Kincaid, you are praying you get him because of how little the Bills have gotten from their other receivers. Well, any of their receivers besides Shakir, maybe. And like, we know how the Bengals give it up to tight ends. Like and really that's the only thing about Kincaid, his target volume. Man, if he plays in this game, you got to figure he's getting at least 6 or 7 targets against this Bengals defense.
This is a good point. I know we're going long in this game, but would you start Dawson Knox if Kincaid is out? Just given, like, I know it's Dawson Knox, but this is the tight end matchup.
Yeah, but it's also like Jackson Hawes.
You're going to get 2 Jackson Hawes touchdowns in real life. Watch.
Probably.
And both of these guys are so limited. I can't.
Okay.
I'm not starting those guys over like
it would really depend on your
options.
Yeah. Like I would feel better about like
I'd still start like Cade Otton over Dawson Knox.
I would start TJ Hawkinson over freaking Dawson Knox. I'll just say that.
Okay. Let's go to the late slate here. Broncos at Raiders. The first matchup between these two is one of the ugliest, most boring Thursday night matchups we've had all year. Are there any players you are expecting to perform much differently? I almost said better, but you can say worse too. So much differently in the rematch, D-Bro.
I'm just going to take the low-hanging fruit. I'm just going to sit here and take the easy out here. RJ Harvey, because he's got the starter's job. I mean, dude, he had 6 touches, 18 total yards. The Las Vegas Raiders run defense has been back and forth. Harvey hasn't had like the big breakout game. Would it surprise anybody if that happens and he runs for 2 touchdowns in this game? No. So I'll take the easy out here and say RJ Harvey.
Yeah, I probably should have said besides RJ Harvey, but I didn't. So he was an acceptable answer.
You didn't. So I felt I had to.
Where's Harvey ranked for you? Did you say? He's RB 15 in ECR.
I've probably.
And again, that's behind like Javonte, Gibbs, who have already played, so a little higher, not including them.
I've got him at RB 13. So I mean, I think he's somewhere in that high end RB 2 conversation. But it's a conversation. It's like, do you feel better about RJ Harvey or Breece Hall or Saquon Barkley or the thought of Saquon Barkley this year,
Jeez, I've got RJ Harvey ranked RB 12. I'm ahead of D-Bro, and I don't even think RJ Harvey
I need to go up.
I don't think Harvey's even looked good, to be honest with you, the last couple of weeks. Like his rushing yards over expected. I think I'd have to look at the number. I don't know what it is, but I think it's underwater. Like he just hasn't been very impressive yet, but I still think he's a good player, and we like the matchup, of course.
When anybody ever has RJ Harvey ranked higher than Debro for a week, he becomes the Michael Jordan meme of like, and I took that personally. And he needs to make sure that he is no longer lower than whoever's talking.
I mean, RJ Harvey, 2 touchdowns last week, was a top 5 back. I mean, I'm not going to rule it out that he could score 2 touchdowns again.
Could.
Where do you think, Debro, quickly, the highest ranked expert in all of our rankings has Harvey this week? You don't have to guess who it is, obviously, but like, where do you think his ranking is for the highest?
RB 10.
RB 7.
Wow!
There are 3 people who have him higher. There's an RB 7 and there are 2 RB 9s. So you got a lot of work to do.
Give me some of what they're sipping this week. Good Lord.
Yeah. Oof. Fitz, who are you expecting to perform differently in this week?
Yeah, I mean, Brock Bowers had 1 catch for 31 yards in that first game against the Broncos. Tough matchup for sure, but I'm expecting more than 1 catch for Bowers. And in that first Raiders-Broncos game, Troy Franklin led the Broncos in targets with 9, only finished with 40 yards, but he did have a touchdown. Courtland Sutton had 4 targets. I expect that to be different. Troy Franklin had his snaps cut last week, only played about 50% of Denver's offensive snaps, 12 fewer, in fact, than rookie receiver Pat Bryant. So I think Troy Franklin investors should be a little careful starting him this week. Just know that you might not get the sort of usage you've been getting from him most of the season. And I'm expecting more from Courtland Sutton in the rematch, less from Troy Franklin.
If you want a chance to win Bijan Robinson and Drake London signed mini helmet for free, courtesy of our friends at pristineauction.com, all you need to do is head to fantasypros.com/contest, complete the form, and either download the Fantasy Pros app, leave a review for the podcast, or follow us on X, Instagram, or TikTok at Fantasy Pros. The more actions you complete, the more entries you receive. We will be announcing a winner right here on the podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to subscribe and turn on those notifications so you can be alerted when new episodes are up and to claim your prize. Fitz, let's go to Bears at Packers. Christian Watson, Kyle Monangai, and DeAndre Swift are all ranked within 5 spots of each other in the Week 14 expert consensus rankings and the flex rankings. At least they were when I put this together. I'll double check that as you answer to see where they are now. How would you rank those 3 against each other in this game? Again, Christian Watson, Kyle Monangai, and DeAndre Swift.
I have them bunched pretty tightly in my flex rankings. Also, I've got Christian Watson first, Swift second, Monangai third. Watson, he does have a pretty wide range of outcomes because he's a vertical threat. There's a ton of big play potential with him, but if those deep shots aren't connecting, he could absolutely go belly up, especially in a cold day. Like, it's going to be really cold at Green Bay Sunday, so we'll see how the passing games work. The Bears' running game has been just incredible. Can't say enough about how good their offensive line has been playing. Like, these guys they went out and got in free agency, like Dahlman and Thuney and Jonah Jackson, like they are just mashing. Since their Week 5 bye, the Bears have averaged 179.6 rushing yards a game. That's just nuts. And the Packers' run defense is at least decent, although we'll see how the loss of Devontae Wyatt to a season-ending ankle injury hurts them. Even if the Bears aren't running for 179 yards in this game, like, it's still possible one of Swift or Monangai hits it as a pretty good game. But, like, you're not often going to get both of those guys smashing, although we've kind of seen it lately. Like, the odds say that's not going to happen. And I tend to lean a little more towards Swift, who's been less touchdown dependent.
So, interestingly, Monangai and Swift are only 3 spots apart at running back. They are 11 spots apart at flex. So Monangai has dropped down. He's still got the questionable tag for the week. Watson and Swift are still very, very close in the consensus flex rankings. Like I said, Monangai is not crazy far, but is a little bit further down now. The clear third, according to consensus. Debra, how do you see it?
I've got them ordered DeAndre Swift, Christian Watson, and Kyle Monangai, and I think all 3 of them are fantastic plays. I think Ben Johnson gave us the blueprint and the script of what he's going to do, or at least try to do to the Packers this week. I think it is hide Caleb Williams as much as humanly possible and run the ever-loving piss out of the ball. And they've been able to do it, to Fitzy's point. And also to Fitzy's point, like, the Green Bay run defense has shown some give since Week 9. They're 15th in explosive run rate. They've given up the 11th most rushing yards, and they've given up the 14th highest yards after contact per attempt. And that's before we factor in losing Wyatt. So I think Ben Johnson showed us what he wants to do last week. He showed us the Bears can impose their will on the ground and hide Caleb Williams. And so I love Swift and Monangai, both his plays this week. And Christian Watson, baby, like, dude, since Week 11, the wide receiver 12 in fantasy points per game. He has taken off as the clear wide receiver 1. I don't care if Matthew Golden plays. I don't care if Jade Reed plays. I think they cannibalize each other. I think Watson plays a different role, and he is outside of the worries of those guys, factoring into his workload. And just for everybody at home, since Week 11, Christian Watson has had a 28% target share and a 36% first read share. I think he's headed for another big day.
I shouted out, you had a tweet with some of these stats, and I read it on the show, on the Thursday show, when we were talking about Christian Watson, T-Bro. I know you've been...
Dude, he's been awesome. Straight up awesome.
Yeah, so impressive, just like stepping right in from the injury. I did not expect this out from this. I liked Watson as a player in general. I did not expect this from him coming back this year.
Oh, so. I didn't either. And real fast before we move off of this game, I think this is also them putting Christian Watson into this role and giving him the extension earlier whenever he was rehabbing. I think all of the signs point to they're going to move on from Romeo Doubs. I think this is putting it at Christian Watson's feet. Can you be our wide receiver 1 moving forward? And so far, dude, he's answering the bell.
And by the way, for a guy who had a lot of injury problems early in his career, Christian Watson is not the guy you would have expected. He got hurt in Week 18 last year. He actually technically got hurt in 2025 and came back in Week 8 from a torn ACL. and he's playing really well, playing the
really
best
impressive
football of his career.
And do y'all notice this week? Who's not on the injury report for the first time this entire season? Christian Watson.
Nice.
Not on the injury report for the Packers this week.
Nice.
We've got one more game in the late afternoon slate. Rams at Cardinals. We can go quick on this one. I just want to ask about Matthew Stafford. He has finished outside the top 15 quarterbacks in 2 of the past 3 weeks. Obviously had that very poor game against the Panthers with the interceptions, breaking his streak of not throwing any interceptions. He's ranked as the consensus QB3 against Arizona this week. I was surprised by this. Obviously Stafford has been very, very good for most of the year. In general, I'm not surprised that he's being ranked as just kind of throw away the Carolina game and expect a bounce back. 3 is pretty high for a guy who absolutely does not run. I know there's 4 teams on bye. I know guys like Lamar Jackson haven't been playing well. Joe Burrow's still coming back off his injury. Again, 3 just feels a little high to me. D-Bro, do you see it as high, or are you in line with consensus?
I'm in line with ECR, and I think this is more of a take of other quarterbacks being on bye, having tough matchups like Mahomes going against the freaking Houston Texans, Jalen Hurts not playing good and going against the Chargers. I think that's more of what, and Lamar Jackson playing bad. So like all these other quarterbacks that are usually above him in consensus. And the other part about this, dude, I think we get a pissed off Rams team. After last week, this should be the big bounce back game for Stafford. I know Will Johnson is back. They've been better, but Garrett Williams in the slot has still been horrible. So I do think this is a bounce back game. And if the Rams want to run it up and say, look, like we're re-cementing the Matthew Stafford MVP talk, good spot to do it.
Fitz, what do you think? And by the way, QB3, that's behind Dak Prescott, who's already played. So of the guys still left to go, it's really QB2.
Yes, and I agree with it. He committed turnovers last week. That's out of character.
Yep.
You might have heard of these guys named Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. They're pretty good. Can I just drop some interesting numbers on Devontae Adams? So 11 touchdowns in his last 6 games, which is just crazy. He scored at least 1 touchdown in each of those 6 games, multiple touchdowns in 4 of them. What's wild is that over that 6-game touchdown spree, Adams has averaged 48.8 receiving yards a game, and he has scored a touchdown on 42.3% of his catches.
Jeez.
That is crazy.
That's insane.
So, and get this, 48.8 receiving yards a game during this crazy touchdown streak. First 6 games of the season, 66 yards a game, only 3 touchdowns. Go figure.
Man. Yeah, that's funny. I'm not down on Stafford. I don't want to sound like I'm trying to fade him this week. I just was surprised to see QB3, but there are other factors, and like you said, guys on bye, things like that. So we're definitely all expecting a bounce back this week from the Rams. Let's go to Sunday Night Football. Can the Chiefs overcome their inconsistency and offensive line injuries against what I think is the best defense in the NFL? You could argue like Seattle, Denver, like who. One of, and in my opinion, the best defense in the NFL. Can the Chiefs overcome what they've been dealing with as of late, Fitz?
It's going to be a struggle. There's a reason this game has a Vegas total of 42 at Hard Rock Bet. And I agree with you. I think the Texans do have the best defense. And, for all the love that Myles Garrett and Micah Parsons get, Will Anderson is looking like Lawrence Taylor Jr. these days. I mean, he has just been insane, whether it's, just speed or his ability to just crush the pocket. I mean, Will Anderson is playing at a Defensive Player of the Year level. He's not going to get it because Myles Garrett is going to get it. But Anderson should absolutely be in the top 3 there. The one guy I've some hope for in the Chiefs this week is Rashee Rice. I've got him wide receiver 3, which I know is above consensus, and maybe it is too high. But the Texans are kind of a slot funnel. Like in terms, and I think I might have mentioned this on another show I was on with you, Worm, in terms of the fantasy points that defenses have allowed to slot receivers as a percentage of the total fantasy points they've allowed to receivers, Texans are 4th highest in giving up slot points behind only the 49ers, Bills, and Colts. So I still think Rice can get over in this game, but like I don't want to bet on anything else in the Chiefs offense.
Debra?
Shout out to Will Anderson, 2nd in the NFL behind only freaking Aiden Hutchinson in hurries this year. Yeah, I agree with everything Fitzy said. And I'm just going to encapsulate this by telling everybody out there right now. I've already bet the Houston money line at over at Hard Rock, plus 150. Bet it. Enjoy it. Love it. KC's not winning this freaking ball game. They're not. Nope.
What's the spread? I was on the totals
it's like
page.
3. Is it 3?
It's 3. Yeah. I the other part about this, I think
It's 3.5 on Hard Rock Bet.
Okay.
I think the Houston offense has a good day throwing the ball, and I think Houston wins this freaking ball game. I think their defense is going to smother Mahomes. It's going to look rough.
We do a second question on Sunday Night Football every week. We highlight our favorite 3 and 4 star prop. Excuse me. We highlight our favorite 3 and 4 star props from the prop bet cheat sheet ahead of Sunday Night Football. Debra, what's your favorite 3 or 4 star prop for this week?
Yep, just kind of alluded to it, man. Jaden Higgins over 3.5 receptions. That's 4 stars on the prop bet cheat sheet. And when you want to talk about like, okay, this is too high coverage, and Jaden Higgins has a 30% target per route run rate against too high since week 10, or we want to mention that the Chiefs have been giving it up to perimeter wide receivers since week 9. They're giving up the 4th highest passer rating when target. Yeah, Jaden Higgins, give me that easy over.
To pull back the curtain, Debra first sent in a prop that was a 2-star prop, so we didn't want to use it, and it was a Jaden Higgins prop, and we were like, it would actually need to be another one. He was like, all right, I'll find another Jaden Higgins prop.
Yeah,
like he was going to pick Jaden Higgins.
Bet the over receiving yards. Bet the anytime touchdown. Just Jaden Higgins. Jaden Higgins.
Fitz, what's your favorite prop here?
Xavier Worthy under 3.5 receptions. And you know what I just said about the Texans' pass defense being kind of a slot funnel? It means they smother outside receivers. And Worthy has had 3 or fewer catches in 5 of his last 8 games anyway, and those games were against worse defenses than the Texans, except for maybe the Broncos, and Worthy only had 3 catches against them.
Those were our top prop bets for Sunday Night Football this week, courtesy of Betting Pros. You can check out our NFL prop bet cheat sheet at bettingpros.com/props. Premium subscribers have access to our 5-star prop bets, which have a 58% win rate, and we're up over 85 units this season. Luckily, we've also got a special offer for everyone to unlock a month of Betting Pros Premium for free. Download the Betting Pros app today and use promo code FP1month at checkout to redeem your offer. That's the number 1 not spelled out. Let's go to Monday Night Football here to wrap things up, guys. Eagles at Chargers. A.J. Brown finally delivered for fantasy managers last week, but the rest of the offense struggled, and the Eagles only scored 15 points against the Bears. Can A.J. Brown be trusted again, or will this be more of a game for Hurts, Barkley, Smith, Goddard, etc.? Anybody else here, Fitz?
Trusted is not a good word to use with the Eagles offense these days. I don't know if there's anything you can trust in Kevin Patillo's system, but I have A.J. Brown ranked wide receiver 10, and under no circumstances would I ever consider benching him, except maybe in a guillotine league where everyone's got an all-star team this deep in the season.
Debra?
Yeah, I mean, I'm starting AJ Brown regardless at this point, because the time you sit him, you're gonna hate life. But I will also point to, yeah, man, like you're starting Saquon Barkley again. This is just the idea of Saquon Barkley, but I will say that like I've been on this train the entire year. The Los Angeles Chargers run defense is massively overrated. Like they're not giving up a ton of rushing yards and all that kind of stuff like that. You peel back like the deeper metrics, 4th highest missed tackle rate since week 9, 10th highest rushing success rate. Saquon's had a lot of good spots to get going. This is another one. We'll see if he can actually do it. But the guy that I want to highlight, and I was surprised by this, man. Like, why the heck is Dallas Goedert so freaking low in ECR? Like, he's tight end freaking 16.
Dude.
Why? Like, I don't get it. Fitzy, go ahead before I just spit the love letter on Goddard this week. Like, why is he that low?
Oh, because so like back in week 10, they played the Packers, and he had, I think, 3 catches for 42 yards and like 6 targets. Those were his highest catch, yardage, and target totals of like the last 7 weeks or something like that. He's been terrible. That's why.
So I'll point back to, okay, he's got touchdown equity in this offense, and low key, the Chargers have not been good at defending tight ends. Like, yes, we could talk about, okay, they've given up the 6th fewest receiving yards per game to tight ends. That's more of a function of they have not been, tight ends have not been targeted versus them. When we talk about Brock Bowers versus the Chargers, also like, look at what they've done versus tight ends on a per play basis. Like 4th fewest targets per game to the position that they've faced. But when teams have targeted the tight ends, they've given up the 12th highest yards per reception and the 8th most receiving touchdowns per game to that position. So I think Dallas Goedert should be a top 12 tight end this week.
Yeah. By the way, tight end 26 in PPR points per game since week 7.
Yeah, it's a fair point.
I do a predictions show with Erickson early in the week, and my number one best bet, we had to do like a Hard Rock best bet of the week. Mine was the Eagles -2.5. I think they're gonna smash the Chargers. Honestly, do you guys think I'm crazy for that? I think the Eagles are gonna win this game running away.
I think there's a possibility we get Trey Lance this week. I'm not believing all the smoke
Totally.
that Jim Harbaugh is dealing out there. Trey Lance is taking first team reps. And if there's anybody in the entire freaking out NFL we cannot trust with injury information reporting, it's freaking Jim Harbaugh. And for all the Chargers fans out there that hate that take, really, so how much conversations have we had about when QJ was dealing with a hamstring injury? And how many conversations and details have you heard about Amari and Hampton? Oh, okay.
I mean, even if Herbert was fully healthy, I wouldn't like this offensive line going up against the Eagles.
It's got one working hand and a robot hand.
Yeah. I'm still taking Kyle Shanahan as being less trustworthy. Sorry.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Super fair.
But they're riding in the same clown car, Fitzy.
All right, we'll wrap up there. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Best of luck getting into the playoffs here if this is kind of a do-or-die week for you. If you have any other questions about specific start-sit matchup, anything, the guys are on Discord all the time. Fitz will be doing a Twitter takeover on Sunday. We'll have opportunities to answer more specific questions. Please hit us up on social, Discord, everywhere else. But best of luck here this week. Thanks for tuning in. For Debro and Fitz, I'm Ryan Wormeli. We'll see you next time.